서가 무료 배포 중입니다. 동양풍 가상악기예요. 트랩, 드릴, 힙합 만들 때 쓰면 좋습니다. 개인펜, 레이어 등을 통해 더욱 다양한 사운드 디자인이 가능해 글로벌 FX에서 쉬머, 프리즈, 디케이 등을 조절하면 좀 더 풍성한 사운드 연출이 가능합니다. 프로분들이 쓰기 좋은 사운드가 많아요. 무료 만달라 2 엔진이 필요합니다. 링크로 오면 추가로 총 6개를 무료로 받을 수 있어요. 다운받는 법은 더보기에 있습니다. 트랙스페이서가 25% 할인 중입니다. 레알 믹마 꿀템이에요. 사이드 체인은 쉽고 빠르게 먹일 수 있습니다. 보컬과 MR, 킥과 베이스 등 다양한 파트에 걸고 사용할 수 있어요. 어마운트 노브를 메인으로 조작하며 밸런싱을 할 수 있습니다. 모드를 변경해서 더욱 디테일한 믹싱을 할 수 있어요. 믹싱 초보분들에게 강추합니다. 웨이브 팩토리 새학기 할인이 최대 25% 할인 중입니다. 저렴할 때 득템하세요.
And turn off that sidechain monitoring button. So there you can really hear that low end being ducked out of the way of that bass to make room for the kick. So now that's another option that you could use this Trackspacer for. Another thing that I like to do is I like to actually carve out some room for my instruments to make room for the vocals, because a lot of times instruments have high frequencies in there that interfere with the vocals. So you have strings, you have synths, and if you just carve out a bit of room for those vocals, then the vocals can really sound present. So I'll typically use like a FabFilter Pro Q3, but you could use this Trackspacer plugin to do the same thing. So I have the Trackspacer on the instruments group, and I'm going to set the sidechain to the vocals and readjust the high cut here. And let's go ahead and just focus in on that high end.
멜로디 소스2가 50% 할인 중입니다. AI 멜로디 꿀템이에요. 무한 생성 가능합니다. 평생 사용할 수 있어요. 키, 스피드, 옥타브 등의 설정 후 버튼을 누르면 멜로디가 생성됩니다. 힙합, R&B는 물론 그 외 다양한 장르에도 사용할 수 있어요. 입문자분들에게 추천드립니다. 구매 시 7만원 꿀템이 무료예요. 저렴할 때 득템하세요.
Light, you can see a melody pop up. And click on light again, it'll give us a different melody. Let's listen to a dark, simple melody. Oh, actually, before we even go on any further, another thing you can also do is choose to harmonize. So I can harmonize with a higher note, or mid note, low, or octave. And the great thing about Melody Sauce is, I've tried this before, is like I could literally click 120 different melodies and it will come up with random new melodies. So we're gonna go in, we're gonna find a melody for Melody Sauce. So now we'll start with Dark and Simple. I think we can use that melody. I'm gonna make some alterations. I'm big on using tools. I love tools. I love plugins. I love
UAD Signature Edition이 50% 할인 중입니다. 플러그인 44개 묶으며 UA 5인표 사용 가능합니다. EQ, 리버브, 테이프, 코러스 등 모든 게 있는 번들이에요. UA 제품이라 퀄리티가 상당히 좋습니다. 믹마 많이 하시는 분들에게 강추해요. 레트로, 시티팝, R&B 등 모든 장르에 사용할 수 있습니다. 보컬, 기타, 베이스 믹싱에 사용하면 좋아요. UAD 새학기 할인 최대 50% 할인 중입니다. 저렴할 때 득템하세요.
It's not how you want it to be, but you're getting really close. I'm happy that you know
Okay, so like I said, let's go to the EQ first, and what we're going to do is, I'm not really going to mess with this right here. I don't think I want to add anything really in the low end right now. Maybe we'll add stuff over here first and see what we think. I'm going to go to like 4K and just boost this and see how it sounds.
It's not how you want it to be, but you're getting really close. I'm happy that you know. So far from the people you'd see, so when you let them go.
Now without it.
It's not how you want it to be, but...
So by boosting 4K right there, I really like how that sounds. It adds a lot of presence, but more so like character. It just sounds different. It sounds analog, which is what I really like and what I usually try to go for, is like an analog sound. Now let's go to the dip, the 200. I'm not going to go crazy with this because I think that if you go too crazy, and I'll actually show you in a second, then you can really thin out.
그라일리온 2가 58% 할인 중입니다. 역대급 딜이에요. 오토튠 꿀템입니다. 간단한 조작으로 요즘 랩 보컬 느낌을 만들 수 있어요. 코렉션에 있는 노브를 조작하면 오토튠 효과를 먹일 수 있습니다. 곡에 알맞는 값을 세팅하면 자연스러운 튠 조절도 가능해요. 오번 사운드 새학기 할인 최대 60% 할인 중입니다. 저렴할 때 득템하세요.
Twinkle, twinkle, little star. Twinkle,
Right.
twinkle.
So you can kind of hear that kind of auto-tune-y subtleness, right? Now, obviously, I can always do this halfway. So, like I said, I want to be kind of, but not really, right?
Twinkle, twinkle, little star.
Right, so it's subtle, but not as intense, right? So keeping this on 100%, so you can hear everything. Then you have the smoothness. Now, the smoothness is basically almost like an attack of when the auto-tune kicks in, right? So, obviously, fast is pretty much right away. Slow, if you're going at max slow, it suddenly comes in, right? So it's like this now.
Twinkle, twinkle, little star.
So I feel like the smoothness, especially turning this up, makes it not as, like, drastic. Now, granted, it depends on what you want, right? If you're almost going for, like, T-Pain style auto-tune where it's, like, aggressively auto-tuned, like you can tell right away, having the smoothness be on fast, or basically no smoothness at all, gives you that very aggressive auto-tune sound. If, though, you want to be a little bit more subtle, turning it up to slow just help. Then you have snap range. I'm going to get to this a little bit later. And then reference, I wouldn't even touch reference. Keep it on 440. Just, I just keep it on that. Now, moving on to the piano. This is the coolest part about this, is that you can now customize what notes are going to be sung.
SSL은 해리슨 콘솔 번들이 83% 할인 중입니다. 역대급 할인이에요. SSL DS와 보컬 인텐시티 프로페서 묶음입니다. 보컬 믹싱할 때 필요한 꿀템이에요. 보컬, 랩, 녹음 시 발생하는 치차름, 파이어름 등을 조절할 수 있는 플러그인입니다. 오토리슨 기능으로 쉽고 빠른 밸런싱이 가능해요. 조작도 간단합니다. 저렴할 때 득템하세요.
The compressor section has two primary controls. There's a threshold knob and an amount knob. DS uses a relative threshold, which is what sets it apart from other DSers. When using other DSers, you set an absolute threshold level. So for example, you might set your threshold level to -10 decibels, and harsh frequency content that jumps above that level gets compressed. The problem with that is